You've been there, doing everything right, being the nice guy, always showing up, always supportive, but somehow, she pulls away. She says you're too much, need space, or worse, she just disappears. You're left feeling confused, hurt, and betrayed, wondering what went wrong. They told you that if you were just kind enough, available enough, and put in enough effort, she'd fall for you. But instead, you find yourself stuck in the same cycle, wondering why the woman you thought was the one ran into the arms of someone who doesn't even text her back. The truth is, you've been playing a game that you didn't even know existed. And the rules? They're nothing like what you were told. The belief that nice guys finish last isn't just a saying, it's a harsh reality that most men face, but no one ever taught them why. You've been told that love is a simple equation. Be nice, be available, and she will fall for you. But that's not how it works. There's a deeper layer to it, a psychological force at play that you've been blind to. The harsh reality is this. The way to win a woman's heart isn't through logic or constant validation. It's about understanding something far more powerful, something that will completely change your perspective forever. And it's here, in this space, where Stoicism comes in. Stoicism teaches you to be grounded, emotionally intelligent, and in control, not just of your actions, but of how you respond to her. This isn't about playing games. It's about understanding the real psychology of women, something that will turn your entire approach to relationships upside down. Get ready to have your eyes opened, because everything you thought you knew about love is about to be shattered. So what if I told you that the key to understanding women and attraction isn't about being the perfect nice guy or ticking off a checklist of behaviors you think will win her over? You've been told that if you just do enough, say the right things, and check all the boxes, she will see your worth. But the truth is, that approach often falls short. And here's why. Women are emotional, not logical. Attraction, love, and connection are not based on a rational set of actions or behaviors that you can perfectly mimic. They are driven by emotions, deep, sometimes irrational, emotional responses that go far beyond what's on the surface. Women are wired to feel, not think their way through relationships. It's like a chemical reaction happening within her. Dopamine, adrenaline, all the stuff that creates that emotional spark, that rush. It's the emotional chemistry, not a checklist of good behavior like being sweet, buying her gifts, or always agreeing with her, that really drives attraction. Think about it. How many times have you done everything right? Been kind, thoughtful, attentive, and yet still ended up confused when she pulled away or even ghosted you? You might have checked every box of good behavior, but somewhere along the way, you missed the emotional connection. The problem is, when you focus too much on being nice, you forget the most crucial part of any attraction: emotional impact. A woman's emotional reaction to you, the way she feels when she's around you, has a far greater influence on her attraction than any of the things you do for her. This is where emotional intelligence comes in. To truly connect with a woman, you need to understand and tap into these emotional triggers. It's not just about being there for her when she needs you, or texting her first thing every morning. Women want someone who understands how they feel and can navigate the emotional roller coaster of attraction. That means being aware of her emotions, reacting to them appropriately, and creating experiences that leave a lasting emotional imprint. It's not about being available all the time. It's about being present and in tune with her emotional world. Now, you might be thinking, but isn't being logical the right thing to do? If I stay calm and rational, isn't that what will make her trust me? In theory, yes, but here's the catch. Being too logical, too calm, or too nice can often make you seem detached or even boring. Emotions, unpredictability, and tension, those are the elements that really spark attraction. And that's where the Stoic approach comes in. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions, it's about mastering them. It's about staying grounded, calm and unshaken, regardless of what's happening around you. It teaches you to control your emotional responses, not just to the ups and downs of life, but to her emotions as well. When you master this, you're not just reacting to her behavior. You're understanding the deeper emotional currents that shape her feelings, which gives you a much stronger position in the relationship. By being emotionally grounded and not easily swayed by her mood swings or emotional outbursts, you show her that you can handle her emotional turbulence. This doesn't mean ignoring her feelings. It means you're in control of your own and you don't let them control you. You're the calm in the storm. This is exactly what makes you emotionally magnetic. The more you show that you understand and can remain calm in the face of emotional chaos, the more she will feel safe and drawn to you. You're not just a guy who's emotionally available when it suits her. You're a man who can hold your ground, even when things aren't perfect. When you understand that women's attraction isn't driven by logic or good behavior, but by emotional reactions and chemical responses, you start to approach relationships from a completely different angle. You stop trying to prove your worth and start focusing on creating powerful emotional experiences. You stop chasing approval and start leading with emotional intelligence, which, over time, builds a connection that's based on real feelings, not just superficial actions. That's the power of understanding emotions and the true psychology of attraction. And this shift in perspective is exactly what the Stoic mindset can give you. It teaches you to master yourself, which in turn makes you an emotional force that women can't help but be drawn to. Let's take a deeper dive into the science behind attraction. Because as much as we like to think attraction is all about logic or good behavior, there's a lot more happening beneath the surface. It's biological, psychological, and yes, emotional. Attraction is driven by the chemistry in our bodies. That's right. Dopamine, adrenaline, and all those feel-good chemicals play a huge role in how we connect with others, especially when it comes to romantic attraction. When you're around someone you're attracted to, your body releases dopamine, the feel-good chemical. It's the same chemical that floods your brain when you're eating chocolate, achieving a goal, or even falling in love. This chemical makes you feel excited, happy, and eager to spend more time with that person. Adrenaline, on the other hand, is what gives you that rush, that exciting feeling in your chest when you see someone you're attracted to. It's a physical response that can make you feel alive, alert, and ready to dive into the unknown. This combination of dopamine and adrenaline creates an emotional high, which is exactly what drives attraction. But here's where it gets interesting. It's not just the presence of these chemicals that creates attraction. It's the unpredictability, the emotional roller coaster, the highs and lows that come with it. Think about the times when you've been most drawn to someone. Was it when everything was predictable and calm? Or was it when there was some mystery, some emotional tension? The answer is probably the latter. Unpredictability creates excitement, and excitement creates attraction. It's those moments of tension, the emotional push and pull, that make you feel more alive and more connected to someone. When there's an emotional high, followed by a dip, followed by another high, your brain releases more of those chemicals, creating a cycle that keeps you coming back for more. This is why so many people are attracted to relationships that have a bit of emotional turbulence. They feel more real, more intense, and more exciting. But here's the key: you can't rely on chaos or drama to keep someone interested. There's a way to master this emotional energy without it feeling forced or manipulative. This is where the Stoic practice of emotional mastery comes into play. As a Stoic, you're not trying to create chaos or tension on purpose. Instead, you're learning to control your emotions in a way that allows you to create and maintain that emotional intensity in a healthy, balanced way. Stoicism teaches you to be calm and collected, even when emotions are running high. This doesn't mean suppressing your emotions, it means mastering them. When you're able to stay grounded and in control of your own emotional state, you have the power to influence how others feel, especially women. By staying emotionally stable, you become a source of calm energy in an otherwise unpredictable world. This is incredibly attractive because it shows that you are someone who can handle the ups and downs of life and relationships without losing your cool. You're not the person who gets carried away by every emotional storm. You're the one who stays steady, and that stability is something people crave. In fact, women are drawn to men who can control their emotions because it creates a sense of security and trust. When you're in control of your own feelings, you can more easily tap into hers, leading to a deeper emotional connection. Now, let's talk about emotional imprinting, which is something the Stoic mindset can help you master. Emotional imprinting is about creating powerful, unforgettable experiences that leave a lasting impact on someone. Think of the best experiences you've had in relationships, the moments that stood out the most. They probably weren't the predictable, safe moments, but the ones filled with emotional highs and genuine connection. It's these moments that get imprinted in a person's memory and heart. Instead of being someone who always plays it safe, always follows the rules, you want to be someone who can create these unforgettable experiences. When you understand the science behind attraction and emotional chemistry, you start to see how you can tap into these powerful emotional triggers to create the kind of connection that lasts. The key isn't being perfect or predictable. It's about knowing how to make a woman feel. When you can master your own emotions and control the emotional environment, you create experiences that are rich with emotional energy and leave a lasting impression. That's the real secret to attraction. Not safe behaviors, but emotionally charged, unforgettable moments that create a deep, meaningful connection. This is what makes someone irresistible, when they can make you feel something real, something intense, something that sticks with you long after the moment has passed. Now that we've explored the powerful role emotions play in attraction, let's talk about how you can use Stoicism to master the emotional dynamics of relationships. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions or pretending they don't exist. It's about understanding and controlling them in a way that strengthens your relationships and makes you a more grounded, emotionally intelligent person. In relationships, emotions can often run high, and if you're not careful, they can lead to frustration, confusion, and even conflict. This is where Stoic leadership comes into play. At the core of Stoicism is the idea of self-control. A Stoic doesn't let external circumstances control their emotional state. Instead, they find peace within themselves, no matter what is happening around them. This inner peace allows them to remain calm in the face of emotional turmoil, whether it's in a relationship or any other aspect of life. The ability to remain steady and composed when emotions are at their peak is incredibly powerful. Imagine the difference between someone who reacts impulsively in a heated moment and someone who takes a deep breath, thinks things through, and responds thoughtfully. The first person may say or do something they regret, while the Stoic remains calm and measured, creating space for a more productive conversation. This is the key difference between being reactive versus being responsive in relationships. When you're reactive, you're controlled by your emotions. You might snap at your partner, make decisions out of anger, or say things that hurt them, all because you're not in control of your emotional state. But when you're responsive, you take a moment to reflect before acting. You don't let your emotions dictate your actions, and instead, you choose how to respond based on what will benefit the relationship and your own peace of mind. This ability to pause, think, and respond calmly is one of the most powerful tools you can use in any relationship, and it's a skill that Stoicism helps you develop. By embracing Stoic principles, you become a stronger, more emotionally grounded person. You begin to see yourself not as someone who is constantly tossed around by their feelings, but as someone who can stand firm, regardless of the emotional storm around them. This inner strength makes you more attractive to others, because people are naturally drawn to those who exude calmness and confidence. In relationships, this kind of strength doesn't mean being distant or detached. It means being emotionally available while also being in control of your emotions. You're able to connect deeply with your partner without being overwhelmed by your own feelings. Another important aspect of Stoic leadership in relationships is the ability to avoid the chase mentality that often creeps in. In many relationships, especially early on, there's a tendency to chase after approval or validation, trying to win the other person's affection. This can create emotional instability because the chase is based on insecurity and a need for external validation. But Stoicism teaches you to find validation from within. You don't need to chase anyone for their attention or affection. Instead, you focus on being your best self, cultivating your own inner peace and letting things unfold naturally. When you stop chasing, you stop putting unnecessary pressure on the relationship, which creates a more relaxed, secure environment for both you and your partner. The Stoic approach to relationships doesn't mean that everything will always be smooth or easy. It means that you will be equipped to handle the challenges that come your way with grace, wisdom, and emotional stability. By embracing Stoic leadership, you become someone who leads with integrity, who stays calm in difficult situations, and who responds to challenges with strength and clarity. This type of emotional mastery makes you a better partner, a more confident individual, and someone who can weather the storms of life and relationships without losing your way. Ultimately, Stoicism isn't just about controlling your emotions. It's about using that control to create deeper, more meaningful connections that are built on stability, trust, and respect. As we continue to explore the dynamics of attraction, let's dive into one of the most intriguing aspects of relationships: mystery. Mystery is often misunderstood, with many people thinking of it as a tactic or a game. But in reality, it's not about playing tricks or pretending to be someone you're not. Mystery, when approached with a Stoic mindset, is about preserving emotional space and maintaining control over your presence. It's about showing up in a way that keeps others intrigued, curious, and eager to know more without giving everything away all at once. The Stoic ability to remain somewhat unreadable, yet fully present, is a key aspect of creating mystery. A Stoic doesn't feel the need to reveal every thought, feeling, or plan they have. Instead, they maintain a certain level of emotional control, allowing their presence to speak for itself. By being calm and composed, the Stoic doesn't need to fill every silence with words or over-explain themselves. This creates an air of mystery because others are left wondering what's going on beneath the surface. This doesn't mean being distant or cold. It means being in control of what you share, and when you share it, keeping people intrigued by your depth and complexity. One of the main reasons mystery works so well in attraction is because predictability kills desire. In any relationship, when everything becomes too familiar or predictable, the spark tends to fade. We've all experienced it. The initial excitement of getting to know someone slowly evaporates as you figure out all their habits, likes, and dislikes. There's no more surprise, no more unpredictability. This is where Stoicism plays a huge role. By staying grounded and controlling your emotions, you create an atmosphere of unpredictability that keeps things fresh and exciting. When you remain steady yet emotionally present, you can maintain an air of mystery without being distant or disconnected. Mystery isn't about being unavailable or aloof. It's about leaving just enough to the imagination. This can be as simple as not always being available to respond immediately, not revealing every detail about your life on the first few dates, or allowing room for curiosity to grow. You don't need to be mysterious all the time, but it's about knowing when to hold back, when to keep a part of yourself reserved, and when to let the other person discover you gradually. This keeps the other person engaged because they're continually learning more about you, and every new piece of information feels like a reward. Another way to implement mystery in your behavior and communication is by maintaining a sense of purpose and direction in your own life. Stoicism teaches you to focus on what you can control, and this creates a natural air of mystery. When you have your own goals, passions, and interests that aren't dependent on the other person's approval, you become someone who is self-assured and intriguing. You don't need to be constantly seeking attention or validation. Your inner drive and emotional stability make you someone who is captivating simply by being true to yourself. In your communication with women, mystery can also come through in how you listen and respond. Instead of overloading them with your thoughts and opinions, allow space for the conversation to unfold naturally. Ask thoughtful questions that encourage her to share more about herself, while holding back a bit about your own story. This balance of giving and withholding creates intrigue because she'll want to learn more about you over time, rather than feeling like she knows everything about you from the start. In summary, the role of mystery and attraction isn't about playing games or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about using Stoic principles to maintain emotional control and preserve an element of surprise and unpredictability. When you allow mystery to unfold naturally, you keep things exciting and engaging and create a deeper, more lasting connection. By embodying this mindset, you become someone who isn't easily figured out, which makes you more attractive and captivating. Ultimately, mystery adds a layer of depth to any relationship, making the journey of getting to know each other all the more intriguing. As we dive deeper into understanding attraction, we come to an important realization: chasing kills chemistry. Many people think that being overly eager, constantly pursuing, or trying too hard to get someone's attention is the key to building attraction. However, this couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, chasing creates desperation, and desperation destroys chemistry. When someone feels constantly chased, they can't help but feel pressure, and that pressure pushes them away. This is where the Stoic mindset comes in handy. It teaches emotional mastery and self-control, allowing you to step back, give space, and avoid the trap of chasing. Human psychology is complex, but one thing is clear. Attraction thrives in a dynamic of emotional space. The more you chase, the more you send the message that you're desperate for someone's attention or validation. And while this might seem like a way to get closer, it actually has the opposite effect. People are naturally drawn to those who have their own lives, their own independence, and the ability to maintain emotional balance. Chasing signals to the other person that you're dependent on them for your emotional well-being, which can be suffocating and unattractive. On the other hand, when you give space and maintain emotional independence, you create an environment where chemistry can flourish. The Stoic approach to emotional independence is all about finding balance and keeping control over your feelings. A Stoic doesn't react impulsively or desperately. Instead, they practice self-restraint and remain calm, regardless of the situation. When you embrace this mindset, you stop chasing and start creating space. You understand that attraction is something that grows naturally, not something that can be forced or rushed. By stepping back and giving the other person room to miss, you allow the connection to develop in a way that feels organic and real. This emotional space creates tension, a kind of magnetic pull that draws people in. One of the most powerful aspects of space in relationships is the power of absence. Absence creates longing, and longing creates desire. When you're always available, there's nothing to miss. But when you create space, you allow the other person to feel the gap you leave behind. This absence, when balanced properly, makes you more desirable because it activates that longing and curiosity. It's like a subtle dance. Too much closeness can feel overwhelming, while too much distance can feel cold. But when you find that perfect balance, where you're not chasing but also not withdrawing completely, you create an irresistible dynamic. This is where the Stoic principle of emotional independence really comes into play. A Stoic doesn't react to rejection, silence, or emotional games. Instead of chasing after someone who isn't reciprocating, they maintain their self-respect and emotional balance. Rejection doesn't shake their core because they know that their worth doesn't depend on someone else's approval. If someone isn't showing interest, the Stoic will let it go with grace and composure. They understand that chasing or clinging to someone who isn't invested doesn't serve them. It only undermines their own emotional stability. Furthermore, emotional games are something a Stoic doesn't fall prey to. In relationships, it's easy to get caught up in mind games, trying to figure out how to play the game to win someone's affection. But the Stoic approach is different. It's about being true to yourself and letting others come to you naturally. Instead of seeking validation, a Stoic remains grounded and composed, knowing that if a connection is meant to be, it will develop without the need for manipulation or forced effort. In conclusion, chasing may seem like a natural way to build traction, but it only leads to desperation and a lack of chemistry. By applying Stoic principles, emotional mastery, self-respect, and the power of space, you can avoid the trap of chasing and instead create an environment where attraction grows naturally. When you maintain your emotional independence and allow the other person the space to feel that longing, you build a stronger, more meaningful connection. Ultimately, the Stoic approach teaches us that attraction isn't about chasing. It's about creating the right emotional tension, remaining calm, and letting things unfold at their own pace. As we continue to explore the Stoic approach to relationships, one thing becomes abundantly clear. The Stoic man doesn't just navigate relationships. He leaves a lasting impression. This lasting impact is created not through grand gestures or constant chasing, but through emotional mastery, a sense of mystery, and the strength of his principles. The Stoic man is someone who remains calm, grounded, and emotionally resilient no matter what life throws at him. This ability to stay composed in the face of emotional highs and lows makes him magnetic, as others are drawn to his inner strength and stability. One of the most powerful aspects of the Stoic mindset is the ability to stay grounded. In any emotional situation, whether it's a romantic encounter or a challenging moment in a relationship, the Stoic man doesn't react impulsively or out of desperation. Instead, he maintains control over his emotions and stays true to his principles. This sense of calmness, even in the midst of chaos, is incredibly attractive to women. It creates an emotional security that others can rely on. When a man doesn't let emotions dictate his actions, he becomes a pillar of strength that others want to be around, especially in the turbulence of a romantic relationship. Rather than seeking validation from others, the Stoic man leads by his own principles. He doesn't look to others for approval or affirmation because his worth isn't dependent on external factors. This self-sufficiency is not only attractive but also inspiring. Women are drawn to those who know who they are and live according to their values. When you live by your own principles, without seeking validation, you stand out in a world where many are chasing after external approval. This sense of inner confidence and authenticity makes you memorable, as it's a rare quality that people naturally gravitate towards. The Stoic man's emotional strength and detachment create a profound impact in relationships. Instead of being swept up in the emotional highs and lows that often define romantic relationships, the Stoic man remains steady. He doesn't get carried away by fleeting emotions, and this emotional stability allows him to approach relationships with clarity and purpose. He understands that love and attraction are not about constantly seeking reassurance or trying to please the other person. Instead, he focuses on being his true self, letting the relationship unfold naturally without forcing it. This emotional detachment doesn't mean he's indifferent or uncaring. It means he is in control of his emotions and can approach situations with a calm and clear mind. So how can you embody the Stoic mindset and create lasting emotional imprints that make you unforgettable? First, it starts with emotional mastery. Learn to recognize your emotions, but don't let them control your actions. Practice the art of detachment, where you can experience emotions without letting them dictate your behavior. In romantic relationships, this means not getting overly attached or desperate for validation. Instead, focus on being emotionally independent, allowing the relationship to develop at its own pace. Another key practice is maintaining a sense of mystery. The Stoic man isn't constantly laying out all his emotions or thoughts for everyone to see. He remains somewhat unreadable, keeping others intrigued. This mystery, when combined with emotional strength, creates a powerful dynamic. Women are drawn to those who have depth and complexity, who don't reveal everything at once but leave something to be discovered over time. Finally, leading by your principles is a game changer. Whether in romantic relationships or in daily life, the Stoic man leads by his values, not by seeking others' approval. When you live in alignment with your principles, others notice. You become someone who can be trusted and relied upon because you aren't swayed by the opinions of others. This consistency and integrity make you stand out and leave an unforgettable impression on those you interact with. In conclusion, the Stoic man creates unforgettable impressions, not by chasing attention or seeking validation, but by embodying emotional strength, mystery, and strong principles. His ability to remain grounded and calm in any situation makes him a natural leader in relationships. When you embrace the Stoic mindset, you don't just navigate relationships, you leave a lasting impact that will be remembered long after the interaction is over. It's not about being perfect or having all the answers. It's about being emotionally resilient, true to yourself, and creating connections that are meaningful and lasting. As we shift our focus to long-term relationships, it's important to understand how the principles of polarity, emotional energy versus logical calm, play a significant role in maintaining a healthy, lasting bond. In every relationship, there is a natural balance that occurs between the emotional and logical elements. Women by nature are more emotionally driven, while men tend to be more logical and grounded. This dynamic is not something to be feared, but rather embraced. When these two energies come together, they can complement each other perfectly, creating a powerful and harmonious relationship. A woman's emotional intensity can help bring depth and passion to the relationship, while a man's logical calm can provide stability and balance. The role of Stoicism in long-term relationships cannot be overstated. Stoic principles help men remain emotionally grounded, even in the face of emotional storms that might arise. When a woman is feeling overwhelmed or emotional, a Stoic man can remain calm, listening with empathy without becoming entangled in the drama. This emotional stability creates a safe space for both partners, allowing them to communicate openly without fear of emotional chaos. Stoicism teaches that emotions are not something to be suppressed, but rather managed. By maintaining control over your own emotions, you can ensure that you don't lose yourself in the relationship, and that you're able to respond to your partner's emotional needs in a thoughtful, caring manner. But it's also crucial to recognize that while emotional intensity can be a powerful force in a relationship, it's important not to lose yourself in the process. One of the most valuable aspects of the Stoic mindset is the ability to maintain your own sense of purpose and identity, even within a committed relationship. A strong Stoic man is not defined solely by his relationship. He has his own goals, passions, and sense of self. This personal independence not only makes him more attractive, but also ensures that he doesn't become overly dependent on his partner for emotional fulfillment. When both partners have their own lives and are confident in who they are, the relationship becomes healthier, with each person bringing their own strengths to the table. The importance of having your own life and purpose is also essential for maintaining polarity in the relationship. If you become too absorbed in your partner's emotions and needs, the dynamic between emotional and logical balance can shift. The Stoic man, however, remains centered and focused on his own goals, which in turn strengthens the relationship. This sense of independence ensures that both partners continue to grow individually, while also nurturing their bond. When both individuals have a sense of personal purpose and direction, the relationship thrives as they share their growth, rather than relying on each other to fill a void. In long-term relationships, polarity isn't about controlling or suppressing emotions. It's about understanding how to balance them. By using Stoic strength to remain grounded while respecting and understanding the emotional energy of your partner, You create a dynamic that supports both emotional depth and stability. When you maintain your own purpose and remain emotionally steady, you not only become a stronger partner, but also contribute to a relationship that is healthy, respectful, and built to last. In conclusion, mastering the psychology of women through Stoicism is not just about understanding attraction. It's about transforming the way you approach relationships. Stoicism provides a powerful tool to not only control your emotions, but also to understand and respond to the emotional needs of others. It teaches you how to remain calm and grounded in the face of emotional turbulence, creating stability and trust in your relationships. By applying the principles of emotional intelligence and Stoic wisdom, you can avoid the traps of outdated advice and superficial behaviors, like chasing or trying to please. Instead, you become a man who is emotionally intelligent, strong, and capable of creating genuine connections. The journey to becoming a man who is not just attractive, but unforgettable, starts with you. It's about embracing self-control, maintaining your own sense of purpose, and understanding the emotional dynamics of attraction. When you stop reacting to external pressures and instead respond with a Stoic mindset, you become someone who not only captures attention, but holds it. Relationships built on this foundation are not only more fulfilling, but also more enduring. So take what you've learned here today, start applying Stoic principles in your own life, and watch as your relationships transform into deeper, more meaningful connections. The power to change your love life lies in your hands through the strength and wisdom of Stoicism.